Well, hey there. Welcome to Astroneer. I'm Joe Mama, your host. And if you followed my channel for any length of time, you know that it's been a little bit since I played this, but or at least played it on the channel. But I've been playing it for the last 2 or 3 months here, and it's the first time I've touched it in, I think it's been a couple of years, because my previous saves were all 2022. Doesn't seem possible, but I guess maybe it is. So I thought I'd delve back into it, and I've kind of been leaning into a lot of the automation again. I love Factorio, as most of you know, and I've been leaning into automating things, and I decided I'd get back into Astroneer and try that. And in doing so, I found what I think is one of the greatest items in this game. Maybe, I don't know how long it's been here. The Tapper. This thing is absolutely awesome. As I've played this game, power has always been one of the greatest sort of sticking points in this game. I realize there's a lot that I don't know. And even me saying that the Tapper is such an awesome device, I realize is a statement to the effect that, yeah, you really don't know this game if you haven't known that thing, that the Tapper is a thing. How long has it been a thing? Does anybody know? I don't know. So I was setting up an automation on a planet, I think it was Glacio, on a previous save, which I'll get to. I was setting it up, and I was trying to find a way to automate the extraction of every type of basic resource there is. And I was pretty successful, except for organic material. And so I was actually going out into the middle of a field with an auto extractor thinking, maybe I can suck all this stuff up. Because you know, sometimes when you put your little engineering terrain altering device here on, what do they call it, terrain transformer or a terraformer, whatever you want to call it, and you put it over a piece of land and you get the little symbol right there that says what you will get out of it if you start harvesting, if you start deforming the terrain. So I thought if I put an extractor on that, maybe I'd get organic material. Well, it turns out I was totally wrong. But then, so I'm like, there's gotta be a way. So I went to Google, which is something I really don't like to do, but mentioned, hey, you know, I'm trying to extract organic material. How can I do that? And then I happened to run into a description of the Tapper. I'm like, how did I miss this thing? So it's better than I hoped. Not only does it extract organic material from a plant, but it does so endlessly. It is an endless source of organic material. And with that, of course, as you already know, you can take the organic material, smelt it, or burn it, whatever you want to call it, and it turns it into carbon, and then carbon can be used to fuel these medium generators. So a simple setup like this is, I'm generating, what is it, each of these 9 units of power? 9 power units per second, and right now I'm generating 36 just with that, and this is perfectly scalable. I mean, it's a very simple device. In fact, I think the most difficult part of this was finding graphite on the surface of Silva. Okay, this is a test world, by the way. I started this a few hours of gameplay ago. I started this because the whole purpose of this test game was to see how quickly I could get a power plant set up. Once I realized the potential of the Tapper, I'm thinking, well, how did I miss this? How quickly can I set up a carbon power plant? Which I know just sounds so non-green, doesn't it? So here's a few key things to know. If you don't already know, you have to create these auto arms. The auto arms require graphite. Graphite on Silva it exists. It's just that you kind of got to travel a little ways to find it. It's there, but it's not right on the surface as most things are. So I would say graphite, and then in order to make the medium generator, you require tungsten, and tungsten doesn't exist on Silva at all. So you have to throw together a shuttle, which I did. You can see it in the background over here. I threw together that shuttle, and with that I was able to go to Calidor, and Calidor has wolframite on the surface, and you can bring the wolframite back and smelt it into tungsten, and then the tungsten can be used. You only need 1 unit each to create these medium generators. Also, the technology to what do you call it, the science. Let's see, if we go to Q and then take our little, or I think I could have just done tab. You can find the Tapper and the generator. I think the Tapper is 1,000 bytes of science and the generator is 2,000 bytes. So you collect 3,000 bytes and you can open up these right from the beginning of the game. You can open up the schematics from the beginning of the game. I wanted to create this power plant from everything that's available here on Silva. Now, like I said, the tungsten I had to go to Calidor to get, but everything else you can get fairly quickly within a couple hours of gameplay. Plus, there's something else to keep in mind. You can tap almost any plant. If you can get seeds to it, you can probably tap it. Something to keep in mind, really important thing, is the plant you use matters. Like I'm using a bounce vine, which is local to Silva. It's up in the hills. You'll find it easily enough. Now look how quickly, or rather how slowly it regenerates. It's pretty slow. That's why I've got like 6 of them here with tappers on them. Or maybe it's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there's 6. It does go pretty slow. Depending on the type of plant you use, you can find faster plants. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say the fastest plant might be... Yeah, look, 2002, 2022, 22. And I have the main game I'm playing, and I have this game. And it's 2025, so it's been 3 years. Let's go to the Astropedia. Hazards. Okay, where is it? Oh, this bad boy right here. The Volatile Attactus. The Volatile Attactus. This, I think, has the quickest regeneration, the quickest spawning of organic material if it's tapped. The fastest I've seen anyway, and you find it on Aatrox, which, if you know anything about the game, Aatrox is not a fun place to visit. Everything there is trying to kill you, and trying to create power with wind and solar is a royal PETA. So having this power plant, having this design right here, very simple, and it doesn't care about wind, it doesn't care about solar, it just keeps on chugging, and it's completely self-sufficient, completely regenerative. This thing will generate power for you as long as you leave it alone. And again, it's scalable, so if you want to take these things, pop them and replant them, get more seeds, and I'd suggest using a better plant, but you can just recreate this and just keep on going depending on how big your operation is. Yep, so there you have it, the tapper. Just totally awesome little device. This power plant design right here is so freaking simple. Just make as many of them as you want. But I'm going to show you some improvements to this design. Also, you know, one of these things that I'm discovering here in Astroneer is the automation of science. So just setting up a research chamber with an auto arm right next to where research samples are constantly regenerated and I can't think of the term. They're constantly renewed here. They keep respawning. That's the video game term for you. The research samples keep respawning. So just set up an arm in a research chamber to pick it up, and you will get a slow trickle. You'll see it. I mean, it looks 73, 74. So it's 40 bytes per minute right now, about every second or so. And they'll just keep on coming as long as they keep regenerating. And so you're not thinking about science right now. This thing is all happening in the background, and depending on your power, now that I know about this power plant idea with the tapper, I mean, you could set up a bunch of these and not worrying about tapping your power too badly. Okay, so let's take a visit to my actual world, and let's see what's going on with the new event that's going on right now. Okay, welcome to the world where I'm actually playing this game in. And you can see we've got this event going on. You may have seen it before if you're familiar with the game. I'm sure you have. The EXO Farm event. And it is where these mysterious little cauldrangia is what they're called, but these little things grow all over the planet that you've been working so hard to develop. They just appear out of nowhere. In fact, these particular specimens, or at least one of them, appeared right smack in the middle of my power plant on Aatrox. I built this massive scaled power plant on Aatrox, and these things just spawned right in the middle of it and totally destroyed the power plant, so I actually had to rebuild it. I'd done most of the work on Aatrox that I needed to, so I didn't really rebuild most of the power plant. But anyway, yeah. So I went and grabbed these things. The Swift Cauldrangias are the ones you want. They only appear on Aatrox, but look how quickly they process stuff. Okay, you can see you give them the materials and they spit the stuff out. So, and they, you know, send it on their way. So the real challenge of this is what to do with the rewards. Because, okay, well, let me back up a little bit. Do we have a Cauldrangia here that's sitting around doing nothing? I think we can find. Wow, there's one over here. Let's go take a look at this bad boy. Okay, so this is one that's native. It's called the Leisurely Cauldrangia, which means it's slow. That's a kind way of saying that it's slow. There's one that grows on Calidor that's mid-range, but these here on Silva are pretty slow. But you've got a couple of recipes you can pick. There's Squashaline, Adapetrol, Adapetrol. I don't know exactly how you say that, but anyway, Adapetrol, and then Noxathane. Now these are classics. I think they were in this event when it was done back in 2001 or 2021 or 22, whenever the first time it was they did it. Well, since then they've added this unknown biofuel and then this soup. We're just going to SOUP, soup. I don't know exactly what the acronym means, but those are the 5 recipes. So let's take a look at something. So now that you know that there's 5 recipes, you should know that there's also say a price point, but a reward point for each of them. Let's take a peek. Okay. Okay. So the Squashathane here gives you 15 bites. We'll call them bites. I think they're bites. I think I'll just call them points. Whatever. They give you 15. And then the Adapetrol gives you 28. The Noxathane, which used to be the highest scoring one, gives you 40. Then this unknown biofuel gives you 55, and the soup gives you 70. Now, it seems like the soup would be the better recipe to do. Okay. However, by the way, and I did, in fact, part of the recipe for soup is leeks. So I actually did find some leek plants, which you can only find on Visanya during the event, by the way. The tuberel, I think they're called, but you put a tapper on them, and then you get these little guys. See if we can get a close-up. The leeks, okay? Now the leeks you mix with the squash, which are growing over here. You can see the squash. So when the recipe set up on the Cauldrangia, you mix these squash with. Oops, what are you doing over here? Get back in the hole. You mix with the squash, and it'll give you the soup. The problem is the soup can only be stored in these liquid canisters, and liquid canisters only hold 24 units. But this unknown biofuel instead gets held in these gas canisters, and the gas canisters can hold 160 units. So what that boils down to is that when you fill one of these up with unknown biofuel, watch this. You get 8,800 points. And we already know the payload value. And I even put stuff on the outside here. Let's send it up. Okay. If we were to fill one of these up, so what is that? It was, the soup is 70 points, and this can hold 24 units. So what's 24 times 70? I think it's somewhere around 16 or 17, maybe 18. So 1,800 points. Let's say 1,800 points per full unit that you would get if you send it up to be exchanged for points. That's nowhere near 8,800. So in my mind, the best way to do it is to grow the unknown biofuel, which uses the Squashaline. Okay, let's watch this thing do its thing. Okay, we'll talk about that other thing in a bit. So, the sorting device here, the prizes that you can get are pretty diverse. You can get, well, I've got them all listed here. Prizes range from quartz to copper to, what's this one? This is Tungsten. You don't even have to smelt them. Steel, or not steel, I'm sorry, iron. Then you've got clay. You've got titanium, and this is a good one. You've got the nanocarbon alloy, which is a pain in the neck to produce yourself. And then, what's this one doing here? Okay, graphite, let's rotate. Okay, there we go, rotate, got it. So graphite, plus there's also, one of the things you can get is hydrazine. So I put these containers here and there to kind of collect it along the way. Oh, what are you doing there? Okay, hydrazine, there you go. All right, so then all the other items I've sorted to, one of the things you can get are the little QD RTGs, and so I've set up an arm. Everything gets deposited here. This arm pulls the QD RTGs and puts them here, and then everything else is garbage as far as I'm concerned. And if you run this event, you know that one of the items that you can get is jump jets. What is it called? The hydrazine jump jet. Which, fair point, hydrazine jump jets are pretty darn awesome, but I've already got 24 of the things, and I haven't needed to replace one yet. Also, you can get EXO chips, but look how many I've got. Frankly, I don't need any more EXO chips. I've got 240 of the things sitting around now, so I'm not even going to worry about it. So, I'm just getting rid of the rest. So what that does mean, though, is I'm getting a royal crap ton of scrap. So I've got 3 large containers here with a 4th going strong, and I've got 4 more of these containers floating around somewhere that are full of scrap. So I've got more scrap than I know what to do with. I suppose one could make the argument that I could keep the chips and probably get more use out of them, but at least scrap I can trade for anything. Also, one of the things you can get are these portable smelting furnaces. So this is the big complication with this whole thing. The smelting furnaces, and actually another one is the hydrazine jump jets. So the hydrazine jump jets and the hydrazine containers themselves show up at the same time. Let's see if we can get one to show up. If we can get a shipment that has those. Launch that. And yes, I run 2 rockets at a time when it comes to getting rewards, because there's so many care packages that a single one of these containers will earn for you that you kind of need to have 2 rockets going at the same time to get them. So these things here, the problem is, once the arm places one of these things here in this collection area here, these arms, their sole purpose is to unload the rocket. But if one of these things makes it over here, and then it puts something like copper. Okay, no, that's not one of them. We're gonna send that on its way. Okay, let's send this one on its way. The problem is, if one of these arms gets their hands on the portable furnace, it can actually place something smeltable like quartz or clay or something on it. Now, it won't smelt it in place because the smelters arrive in the off position. That's fine. But because it's got something in it, because the smelting device actually has got an element or something in it, it isn't readable by any of the filters. Okay, here we go. Let's see what happens. Okay, these arms right here, I've set up to try to grab these things. Crap, and it didn't grab that one. Son of a biscuit. Okay, but that one got it. That's why I set up like 3 different arms for the sole purpose of grabbing these portable smelting furnaces. They just need to be grabbed quick. Boy, the frames are really suffering on this thing right now. I've got so much going on. All right, so the sorting, as you can see, this is the method I took to do this. Is I wanted each element to be put directly into a 400 unit, a large resource container, because I was doing it with 24s. These things, these mediums right here, or 32s, I should say, not 24s, the 32s, but they would fill so quickly, and I was constantly having to replace them. But there is no platform that holds enough of these that that you know don't need auto arms. So I have to set this up in sort of a main bus. There's a main bus of items, of unsorted items, that passes under these containers, and then as each item passes each of these large resource containers, they're set on enable or on disable output, which means they're sucking in whatever they can. It leaves these open and it sucks in whatever, you know, matching element shows up here. So the ones that don't match keep going on their way, and then they go here to the final sorting. And the reason, even though all of these are going to the scrapper, I did make sure that each item is specifically accounted for. I did not want any unfiltered auto arm to throw something into the shredder. Do you know what I'm saying? Because if I walk past any of these arms or whatever and it grabs a piece of dynamite, which I realize it's dangerous to have my dynamite production so close, but anything explosive makes it into those shredders and this whole thing just goes to hell. It could turn this base into a major crater, which if you look past one of my previous videos, that is exactly what happened. One of my bases was turned into a massive crater. So, and why aren't you wanting to move? All right. So I want to show you this little device here. Okay, so I think it was that same guy, Only Midnight, or whoever he is, and again, he has got some great inventions out there for this game, but this one was not one of them. I don't think. He had this major sorting system set up, but it has some issues. Okay, so the way this works, the concept behind this is that we have these, by the way, these are elevated so that they don't grab stuff out of my backpack. And that is a plus. That is his idea, that's not mine, and it works pretty well. However, okay, so the way this is set up, you have an arm here along a main bus. You can sort of see this main bus right here, okay? And unsorted items go along this path until each time it lands on one of these platforms, there is another arm here that has an opportunity to grab it. Okay, it's a filtered arm, like this one grabs exo chips, this one grabs aluminum ingots, and I just set this up as a test. And now the way that works, now of course if you have two arms that are reaching for it, it's a crapshoot which is going to grab it first. So this is set up using a storage sensor set to empty, not empty, with a count repeater on top of it, and then that sends its output to this delay repeater and then to this auto arm. And basically what it does is if you put something here onto this, it realizes that it's not empty anymore, so that the sensor changes state, and it causes this arm to turn off. It turns this arm off for a split second. Whatever the delay is on the delay repeater, the arm goes to sleep. And that gives this arm here on the sorting platform, the filtered platform, a chance to look at it and decide whether or not it wants to grab it. So if this is an aluminum ingot, the concept is if it lands here, this thing shuts off, this thing gets a chance to look at it, and if it doesn't need it, it leaves it alone, and this wakes back up and it reaches and grabs it. And each stop along the way does that. Sounds easy enough, right? Okay, so to show you how it works, let's grab an exo chip. I'll put it right here, and you should see this arm goes to sleep. This arm sees that that's something that matches, and it grabs it. Okay, so that's very cool. So it works the same way. If we take this aluminum ingot and we put it over here, we put it there, this arm goes to sleep, and this arm gets a chance to grab it. But there's a little bit of a problem. Sometimes, if I start this over here, let's say this is the beginning of the run. Okay, now it grabs it, comes over here, this arm goes to sleep. But look at that, it still grabs it, even though this arm is filtered and it should have grabbed it instead. The unfiltered arm grabs it and it makes it past the filter. So I don't understand exactly why, but that was happening way too often. It was happening so often, in fact, that none of the filtering arms were doing their jobs. Okay, so that didn't work for me. Also, watch this. I'm going to put this item here, this portable smelting furnace. I'm just going to put it here. Now watch the arms, especially the one over here. Watch this arm right here is supposed to go to sleep, but it doesn't. It immediately picks it up. And the reason is because these portable smelters are not considered, or they don't fill a slot because they have a slot themselves. So this this storage sensor does not sense it because it's not empty. Does that make sense? It's as far as the storage unit is concerned, if you put this on, let's say, a small platform, and this small platform has 2 slots, if you put this on that platform, it still has 2 slots because you can put something in the smelter. So it doesn't trip the storage sensor, unfortunately. So because of that, this filtering system does not guarantee that it will be filtered. So unfortunately, that filtering system did not work for me. So I went back to the traditional method that I've been using for a little while and stuck with it. So I appreciate the design, sir, but it just doesn't work for the EXO Farm event. All right, let's send these off again. And the same is also true for the hydrazine, jump jets and the hydrazine containers, because sometimes it'll actually throw the hydrazine jump jet on here and it'll put the hydrazine containers right inside of it. And if that happens, then the hydrazine will not get filtered out, and it'll go all the way to the path until it gets ready to get thrown into the shredder. But what happens is the shredder realizes, or the game realizes, that it can't just throw a loaded hydrazine jump jet into the shredder, and it actually ejects the hydrazine, and then the jet continues into the shredder. But the problem is the hydrazine that gets ejected, it glitches so that it sits there, it sits in the ground or it sits in midair, and you can't actually click on it. It's like it's not even there. The game doesn't see it as there. You can physically see it, but you can't click on it. And so what you have to do is you have to turn the game off and reload it. And when you reload it, it is there. You can click on it. So it's not a permanent thing, but it is annoying. So I've been trying to find a way to get that's why I put these things here first, to grab the hydrazine containers as soon as they show up, as soon as possible, so they don't get, because sometimes the arm will put the jump jet into this container and it'll insert the arm right into the container right into the jump jet. So yeah, it's really kind of weird. Okay, let's click on this one. Okay, get down. Okay, there you go. So another thing, I had this set up in a different location, but I spent so much time here trying to manage the rewards coming in and out. Oh, okay, there's more stuff. Let's see if we can send this on its way. Okay. Oh, here we go. We're full already. Yeah, see, if you don't stay on top of your rewards, of processing your rewards, you can actually create your biofuel faster than you can process it. So you're going to get a backlog. So you really got to stay on top of your rewards, collecting them, because they will back up. All right, so this used to be back there somewhere. I think you can see the big blank spot there. It used to sit over there. But what was happening was, because my back was turned to it, one of the things you're going to find is that these seeds will disappear. You only get one seed per harvest. And after a while, you're going to start to notice that the seeds start disappearing. You have fewer and fewer sturdy squash in there to process, and the squash becomes a, what's the word? A choke point for the production of your biofuel. So you need to make sure that you're, I guess the best way to say it is that, I can't think of the video game name for it, where you keep it in view all the time. You have to make sure it's generated, that it's rendered. You have to make sure that it's rendered as much as possible. Otherwise, production will cease. Send these on their way. Yeah, production will cease, and the seeds will disappear, and that will just slow everything down. If you've seen this EXO Farm event before, you know that you can find these sturdy squash out in the wild. That's where you get the seeds. But here on Silva, they're a little bit scarce. Okay, there we go. Here on Silva, they're a little bit scarce. But one place where you can find them in abundance is Aatrox. So I keep a big stash of them over here, so I can pop, grab seeds, and refill as needed. If so, I have some spare seeds. But if you need more, go to Aatrox and look in the valleys. There's a ton of sturdy squash in the valleys. Okay, so while we do this, I want to show you one thing. Again, this same user, Only Midnight, whatever his name is, one design he did come up with, which is very awesome, is a very compact power plant here. Don't pay attention to any of this. This was something different. This was something different. That's my own little invention. But here's the concept, and we sort of talked about this. Using it says harmless flora, but this is actually the volatile Attactus plant. Now this is the one, look how fast it produces organic material. Super fast. So this can keep up, and I've got each of these extra large platform Cs. Each of these is holding 36 medium generators, and it's keeping up. It's keeping up fuel. These 4 Attactus plants are keeping up with the needs. And also, a great thing about these, what do you call them, the portable smelters, is that in the area of a medium storage pallet, I call them pallets, you can have 8 of these things, and they will smelt simultaneously, and that will produce enough carbon to keep up with the needs of these 36 generators. And I've got 2 of these going at a time. Now, I've got one arm feeding the organic material to the thing, and it seems to be, well, actually it's 2 arms. That's right, it's 2 arms. They're just kind of they're not situated side by side. They're situated front to back. But here's the thing: when 2 arms operate together, sometimes one has a target to place something, but the other places into that target first, and it causes the one arm to seize up. So what I've done, I've set up this little timer device. Really, it's a bunch of delay repeaters set up in a chain, and they just go in a chain, and then every so often it activates these proximity repeaters that turn the arms off and turn them back on. Does that make sense? This turns them off, which activates this delay repeater, which turns the arms right back on in about, 6 ticks or something like that. What is it? How many? Oh, 25 ticks. All right. So in 25 ticks, it turns it back on. I think it's a tick. I don't know. So turning them off and on resets them in case they're locked or, you know, they can't figure out what to do. But I've noticed in a bunch of cases when you set arms to automate, to run automated devices, they have a tendency to do that. They have a tendency to lock up. So turning them off and on again occasionally wakes them up. And that's what this device is for, just to wake the arms up. But anyway, that's a power plant device right there that is pretty freaking awesome. And it's so compact. I like this design much better than the one I came up with. But the problem is, the portable smelting devices are sort of a later game thing. And you obviously need a lot of tungsten. And you have to go to Aatrox to get the proper plants to do this, because you can't just do this with any plant. You have to use it with a high yield plant like the volatile Attactus. Okay, so another thing too, if I didn't mention, is for this recipe you need the Recipound nugget. And Recipound, normally it's a pain in the neck to produce, and usually it's only for specific events like this. But in this event, oh, what happened there? Why are my plants popped? Oh, that's not cool. Oh, well, that's interesting. My plants got popped. Not cool. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I got 6. I've got 8 here, so I lost 3. Well, that's not cool. Because these amaze plants are hard to find. In fact, I'm not sure there are any more that exist on my planet here. I think I picked them all, because I've been looking all over the planet for more, and I can't seem to find them. So if these things got popped, that means I just lost 3 seeds, and that is not cool. So, anyway, but yes, these plants, very cool plants. I actually do have, aside from these 8, I do have a few more over here. And their sole purpose is to fill large containers with Recipound. That's all they're there for. So you can see I've got 3 of them there. So I have a total of 11, I guess. And those 3 are just filling large containers. So for whatever future use or recipe that might come up, I'll have a nice stash. That's the idea. But this is really disappointing. And these plants, when you pick them, they usually produce 1 seed, but sometimes they'll produce 2. So, something to be aware of. I'll fix that later. Well, anyway, that's it from me here. So you can see what I've been doing with the EXO Farm event, and hopefully you're doing something similar with yours. If you have any ideas or whatever, share them in the comments, because, you know, I certainly don't claim to be perfect. I just found a system that works, and maybe y'all have found a system as well. So, by all means, share it. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao.